One essential accessory within my camera equipment is my field monitor. Until you start using one, you do not realise how useful these monitors can be. Finding one can be a little bit of a challenge, and there are many out there. Up to this time I have been quite lucky in choosing the right one. In this case, the F100 LCD field monitor from Neewer is at the right price and really good quality. I will leave links in the description below for this monitor and any other accessories that may be of interest to you. The kit comprises of the LCD field monitor, an adapter, some HDMI cables, barn door sun visor and an instruction manual. The instruction manual is really well laid out and in good English and very easy to follow. One of the first jobs I like to do is to remove the protective screen that's normally put on to help protect the screen during transportation. The screen itself measures 7 inches diagonally. The screen itself is housed within the plastic casing. The easy accessible buttons are laid out at the bottom of the casing. We'll come back to those a bit further on in the video. There is a 1/4 mounting hole in the bottom. The in and out ports are on the side of the casing. On the back of the monitor you'll find some ventilation holes, a place where the NP-F550 battery fits. Although there is a headphone socket, they also provide a small speaker on the back. High impact ABS plastic has been made throughout on this casing. The casing itself has really well been thought out, with all the accessory ports and buttons on the front are in places that are easily accessible. The NP-F batteries are not provided with this monitor. This is mainly due to the batteries being so common that a lot of people have already got them. If you haven't already got any of these batteries, I will leave some information at the end of the video. Here we're using the NP-F550 batteries. One important factor with any of these monitors is its weight. With the battery and the monitor here, it only weighs 404.6 grams. You are provided with a cold shoe swivel adapter that simply screws into the bottom of the monitor. Although this is provided for you to use with your camera in its cold shoe, there are other different methods that can be used which I will show you later on in the video. Fitting this adapter could not be simpler. At the bottom of the monitor is a 1/4. On the adapter, one end has a 1/4 pin and on the other end of the adapter is a cold shoe mount. Simply screw the adapter into the 1/4 till tight. Remember, this is a ball mount adapter, so tightening the screw on the side will help you when screwing it in. You do get various leads with your monitor. Simply select the one that suits your camera. For those of you who need an AV lead, again, this is also provided. Phono sockets can be found on the one end of the lead and the other end has a 3.5mm that plugs into your monitor. There are three 3.5mm sockets here, so make sure you plug it into the right one. It is marked AV. It is nice to see here that there is a full-size HDMI socket, and if needed there is a strain relief bracket that can be used. This is a very simple idea but very effective. Simply place it over the plug and put the screw in the back and tighten. One thing to note that if you are going to use the sun hood, then you will not be able to use this strain relief bracket as the sun hood will get in the way of it. With everything fitted now, simply put the whole assembly onto the top of your camera and plug in the HDMI lead. The HDMI on the monitor will support 480i all the way through to 4K UHD. This is extremely good and it will support many cameras, be it Canon, Panasonic, Sony. Each of the cameras can have different outputs and this monitor will cater and cope with most of them. As an example here, I'm using the Canon 70D with the monitor plugged into the HDMI on the side of the camera. With the camera turned on, the monitor turned on, the monitor will take a few seconds to boot up, and if all is well, a picture will appear on the monitor screen as shown. The content of the screen on the monitor can be different depending upon the type of camera you're using. In this case, I'm using a Sony Handycam. With this camera, there is very little delay on the monitors. With some of the DSLR cameras, this can be a little slower. Again, with some of the DSLR cameras, the small monitor screen on the camera will go out when the monitor is connected. So you will have only the field monitor to rely on when taking your video or stills. Here the monitor is only set for 50% and it is quite bright. When using it outside, it's advisable to go to 100% and also use the sun hood. The sun hood itself is in two parts. One clips onto the monitor as shown here. This does have a velcro strip where the main sun hood fits onto. The interior of the sun hood has got a matte black beige finish. With the bracket on, this simply wraps around the monitor. The velcro will hold it in place and it is quite secure and will not fall off when in use. When out and about in the sunshine or inside a studio with bright lights, the sun visor can be extremely helpful, although the monitor itself is quite bright. If you have been watching my YouTube channel, you will know that I use an awful lot of the Neewer quick release plates. I do have some articulated arms which I use and is ideal for placing monitors like this on. For me, using the monitor in this way is extremely helpful. All the control buttons for the monitor can be found on the front, which consists of the mode button, up and down volume, menu, function keys and on and off button. With the monitor on, the first button, the mode button, this can be used to change whether you're using AV or HDMI. Simply switch it to the one that you're using, in my case HDMI. The volume up and down are your next two buttons. One word of warning: when you first switch on your monitor, make sure you turn this all the way down or you'll get a screeching sound with feedback. There are quite a number of the parameters that can be altered or changed within the menu button. Here you can change the image settings if required. By pressing the menu button again, you can change into setup and do any alterations required there. Again, pressing the menu, you can change into the function settings. And finally, the custom button settings. The function buttons can be changed if required. They come ready set as F1 for center marker, F2 for safe frames, F3 for check field and F4 for focus assist. Personally, I do like the way it's already set up from the factory, but as I said earlier, you can change and alter these or put other things in the function buttons if required. The focus assist is very good indeed and works extremely well. As I mentioned earlier in the video when putting the monitor onto an SLR camera, that I do have other configurations that I like to use. One of those is using an articulated arm, or magic arm as it's known. As you can see here, you can maneuver the monitor to suit your needs. Using this gives me a greater flexibility of where I have my monitor. I'm sure you guys out there will have your own idea on how you fit and mount your monitor. If you do need any batteries and a charger, I will leave a link in the description below for the Neewer set. The set includes 2 chargers, 2 batteries and 2 charging leads. The batteries are replacements for the Sony NP-F550s. These are lithium ion and the DC voltage of them is 7.4 volts. These are lithium ion and they do have a capacity of 2600 mAh. On the front of the charger there's an LED screen. This will give the state of charge. There is a micro USB port on the top of the charger. This is where the charging lead will plug into. A micro USB to USB lead is provided. The small end or micro USB end plugs into the charger and the larger USB plugs into a power supply, power bank or PC to charge. Fitting the battery into the charger couldn't be simpler. Simply place it as shown and push the battery up into the lugs until fully home. You are not provided with a power supply for this charger. You will need to provide your own. It is possible to plug the USB port into your computer for charging. There are a whole host of USB 5V chargers available that can be used with this charger. I use a 3-pin plug here in my country, but your country may differ and the charger may have a different plug set to this. Charging rates may differ depending upon how much power is left in the battery before charge. If you are going to use your monitor for long periods of time, it would be better to use a power supply. A 12 volt at 1.5 to 2 amps would be quite sufficient for this. The plug itself is 5mm in thickness with the centre pin positive. A battery is not required when using a power supply. Simply plug it into the side of your monitor in the 12 volt socket and switch on. That concludes our look at the F100 LCD field monitor from Neewer. When you look at the quality of build and its price, it is an extremely good, cheap, well-made monitor. If you are thinking about getting a field monitor for use, then this one is definitely well worth considering. I hope you found this information of use to you. Thank you for watching.